panda was having the time of her life in northeast China following the first snowfall of the season. Turns out she is especially fond of snow, doing somersaults, rolling over, and generally having a great time.
In Austria, horses were filmed exploring the first snow of the season. A new addition, a brown and white foal, took its first hesitant steps onto the snow for the very first time, while Mom enjoyed a good roll. Austria has been hit with several heavy snowstorms in the past weeks.
Finally, a 5-year-old border collie named Sprocket could is cool while trying to catch snowflakes during the first snowfall of the season in the United Kingdom. See? Snow can be fun. Good boy, Sprocket.
And that's this week's edition of the News Hounds Now Update.
You won't see Lola doing that, that's for sure.
I love that therapy pig in the airport. That's great.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Hope to see you back here on Monday. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, the impeachment hearings continue while the former ambassador to Ukraine says she was ousted.
The jury has the case for the man accused of killing a Beloit man, what the suspected killer is saying.
Plus, the UW Student Union is pushing back after a professor accused of being a reason behind a student suicide is scheduled to return to campus next year.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3 Now. President Trump hit back on Twitter during today's impeachment hearing. Now Democrats are accusing him of witness intimidation after taking aim at the former ambassador to Ukraine while she was testifying.
Former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, said she was given no reason for her sudden dismissal after 33 years of service. She described a smear campaign against her and said she was, quote, appalled after learning that President Trump told Ukraine's leader in a July phone call that she was, quote, bad news and was going to go through some things.
President has the right to withdraw an ambassador at any time for any reason. But what I do wonder is why it was necessary to smear my reputation.
I'm not exactly sure what the ambassador is doing here today. This seems more appropriate for the Subcommittee on Human Resources at the Foreign Affairs Committee.
President Trump doubled down during the hearing, tweeting, "Everywhere Marie Yovanovitch went turned bad." The White House also released a call summary of President Trump's first conversation with the Ukrainian president.
An inmate accused of throwing a milk carton of human waste at a prison guard while being held at Columbia Correctional Institute made his initial appearance in court today.
But as Gabriella Becerra shares, Terrence Grissom will be making another initial appearance. Gabriella was at the court today and shares why. Gabby?
Terrence Grissom's initial appearance is rescheduled for a later date because the criminal complaint had various conflicting dates of when the incident occurred. Grissom allegedly threw feces and urine at a prison guard at the Columbia Correctional Institute. At the initial appearance today, Grissom was being held at the Waupun Correctional Institute. He appeared over video call and says he did not receive a copy of the criminal complaint.
Essentially, it alleges that on November 29th of last year, you threw feces or urine at a correctional officer.
The complaint went on to reference later dates and even dates that have not happened yet. Grissom says he had already served time for an assault and the judge didn't know if that was correct. The judge allowed for the state to make corrections to the criminal complaint and refile. We don't know at this time when the rescheduled appearance will take place.
Gabby, thank you. Madison investigators used DNA to arrest a suspect in an attempted homicide investigation from October. Police say 32-year-old Donald Lewis was arrested yesterday in connection with a shooting outside an East Madison bar back on October 26th. Police responded to shots fired in the 1500 block of North Stoughton Road near Club Landmark. 15 minutes later, a 36-year-old man arrived at the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. He is facing a tentative charge of attempted first-degree intentional homicide related to that shooting. A jury is now deciding whether a suspected murderer in Rock County is guilty or innocent.
They've spent all week listening to testimony in the case of Jacob Davenport. Adam Duxter was in the courtroom when Davenport himself testified today. Adam?
Yeah, Eric and Susan, Jacob Davenport testifying actually came as kind of a surprise as of yesterday. He had told the court that he had no plans to. But today, for close to an hour, he answered questions from prosecutors and argued his innocence to a jury. Now, Davenport is accused of shooting and killing James Thompson this past February. Now, prosecutors are arguing the person seen in security surveillance video is responsible, and they say that person is Davenport, who allegedly knew Thompson and had bought crack cocaine from him. Now, prosecutors are arguing messages Davenport sent in the days following link him to the case. But today he argued those messages were taken out of context in order to build a case against him.
And so you realize why you became a suspect in this case, correct?
I do. I definitely do. Outside of the fact that if you read those text messages along with the rest of them, they don't seem so suspicious.
Following Davenport's testimony, both sides made their final arguments, which leads us to jury deliberation where we stand now. And those jurors are responsible of deciding whether or not Jacob Davenport is guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. And when that news does come down and that jury does reach a verdict, we will have that news first here on News 3 Now.
Adam Duxter live in Janesville. Adam, thank you. A man is in critical condition after suffering a medical emergency in Sun Prairie. Police say a Sun Prairie officer saw a vehicle in a field near O'Keefe Avenue around 3 o'clock yesterday morning. The officer said the car was running and the door was open, but no one was in the vehicle. Officers used thermal images from a drone and found a 57-year-old man who was lying in a culvert. The man was taken to the hospital and is in critical condition. Officers say he suffered a medical event and drove into the field and then wandered off.
After snow and cold weather, we are starting to see some warmer temperatures. Let's check your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti. Gary?
Well, how about this? Our temperatures got up to around 40 degrees this afternoon. Take a look at the temperature graph over the last 48 hours. We've been in the 20s, but we finally crossed the 30-degree mark, got above freezing for the first time in over almost 5 days around 10 a.m., and then our high temperature hit 40 degrees this afternoon. Now, as we take a look at visible cloud track, we start out today with some clouds, but the sunshine helped those temperatures warm up pretty quickly. We'll see partly cloudy skies for tonight. High temperatures, like I said, 40 in Madison, mid-40s to our north and west where the snow cover is a little bit less, generally upper 30s elsewhere. Current temperatures have already dropped to 32 in Madison as a weak cold front has moved through. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in the middle 20s. Look for a cloudy but quiet day tomorrow with a high of 38. Later on, we'll take a look at a forecast that includes some light snow, maybe mixed with rain on Sunday.
Gary, thank you. More than 800 people are signing on to a petition condemning a former UW professor's actions and calling on the university to change its mind in bringing him back.
Amy Reed joins us now to explain what the petitioners want. Amy?
This petition is coming after the school announced that Professor Dr. Akbar Saeed would return to campus after being accused of running a, quote, toxic and harmful research lab that many believe is the main contributor in the suicide of a student 3 years ago. Since we lost that student, the UW has instituted changes to support the mental health of their students, particularly those in graduate research programs. But petitioners said the university has failed to address, acknowledge, or give information on the situation around the student's death. The UW-Madison Grad Researcher Labor Union, which put together the petition, condemns Saeed's behavior and demands he be prevented from returning to the UW at all. They said the return sets a poor precedent for the university's response and places undue burden on the students and faculty who work with him. And they insist the UW open a new investigation. We reached out to the university today. They weren't able to get someone to talk with us about this, but they did say the disciplinary decision to put Saeed on a 2-year suspension is final. Any new allegations would be investigated.
Amy, thank you. A 61-year-old man accused of throwing acid on a Latino man's face during a racist attack will undergo a psychiatric evaluation to determine whether he can assist in his criminal defense. Clifton Blackwell's lawyer asked for that evaluation during a hearing in Milwaukee today. Blackwell is charged with first-degree reckless injury in a case that's being prosecuted as a hate crime. He's accused of confronting Mahoud Vialaz and throwing acid on his face after accusing him of being in the country illegally and invading the U.S. Vialaz suffered second-degree burns.
New video has been released of a prison fight between Jake Patterson, the man convicted of killing killing Jamie Kloss's parents and kidnapping her for months until her escape, and another inmate. Patterson was transferred from a prison in Wisconsin to a prison in New Mexico in July. New Mexico corrections records show that the two inmates at an unnamed prison approached Patterson in August and told him to leave the pod because of his case. Patterson punched one of them, triggering a fight. Patterson is serving 2 life sentences. Dane County's $663.3 million 2020 budget has officially been signed. The budget sets aside $52,000 to create a partnership with the youth mentor organization, Operation Fresh Start, to get high school graduates who don't have a driver's license to complete the process. This will help 120 more students get driver's ed. The budget also adds $3 million to the Affordable Housing Fund and creates a new division of housing access and affordability. Another highlight of the budget is almost $2 million to further address mental health.
Someone was having mental health challenges, there weren't always the resources in the schools to help the young person and their family. So we created a program called Building Bridges, which puts 2-person mental health teams in schools so they're available to young people when they need help, so that they can get connected to services, we can bring in their family, and they can get the help they need.
Another big piece of the budget is going towards fighting the effects of climate change and flooding. $5 million to create a sediment removal crew and to buy equipment for the county to do its own hydraulic dredging.
Badger women's soccer team is hosting Milwaukee tonight in the NCAA tournament. Wisconsin drew the 3 seed in the tournament, and the winner of this game will play the winner of Duke and Utah. Tonight's game, 5 o'clock at McClymonds Soccer Complex. The number of food carts is down here in Madison, according to the city's annual food cart review just released this month. But soon that might change. As of this week, the street vending coordinator for the city of Madison says she has spoken with more than 100 interested food cart operators. Some have already purchased a truck or cart and are moving into the licensing phase. Others are just kicking around the idea. That review also ranks the city's top food carts. Brazen Hussies earned top honors this year. Many of the city's food carts will soon start packing up for the winter. The last outdoor farmers market and night market of the year is set for tomorrow.
Even though there's still snow on the ground, the city of Madison is continuing to collect leaves and yard waste. Officials are asking residents to put the leaves on the edge of the street, not in the street. If you're using leaf bags, they ask that you keep them open. To see the leaf pickup map, head to cityofmadison.com. And just a reminder that alternate side parking has now started for most cities. If you park on the street between 1 and 7 in the morning, your car needs to be on the odd side of the street on odd numbered days like today, and the even side of the street if the date is even. This rule will last through mid-March.
More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, several NFL players have been suspended after that brawl in Cleveland last night during the Browns-Steelers game. We'll tell you the punishments.
And then coming up tonight at 6, an Uber driver was attacked by a rider in Madison. Police will give us an update on the investigation coming up at 6.
On Wall Street, a milestone for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, closing above the 28,000 mark for the first time with a 223-point jump. The Nasdaq added 62. The S&P up 24. Today's closing all mark record highs, and we'll be right back.
We are following some breaking news out of Texas this evening as emergency crews are responding to two planes that crashed at the San Antonio International Airport earlier this afternoon. Officials say one plane may have clipped a parked plane during taxi, but no injuries are reported at this time. Officials also say they're responding to a possible fuel leak, and there appears to be some delays to departures and arrivals at the airport.
And police in Southern California continue to investigate why a 16-year-old student opened fire on his classmates yesterday on his birthday.
Police say the suspected shooter, Nathan Burhow, killed 16-year-old Gracie Ann Muhlenberg. They have not released the identity of the 14-year-old boy who died. Police searched Burhow's home and interviewed his mother and girlfriend. Neighbors described the teenager as a quiet and smart student.
We did not find any manifesto, any diary that spelled it out, any suicide note, or any writings which will clearly identify his motive behind this assault.
The three shooting survivors are recovering. A 14-year-old boy has already been released from the hospital, and two others are expected to go home in the next few days. The suspected shooter remains in critical condition.
The NFL wasted no time punishing players involved in a brawl in the final seconds of the Steelers-Browns game last night. During that scuffle with Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph, Myles Garrett, defensive end for the Browns, ripped off the quarterback's helmet and then slammed him on top of the head with his helmet. Cleveland police say no criminal charge will be filed against Garrett, but punishment for the NFL was swift. Garrett has been suspended without pay indefinitely at a minimum for the rest of the season and any potential postseason for the Browns. He has to meet with the commissioner's office prior to reinstatement. Garrett acknowledged that mistake.
What I did was foolish, and I shouldn't have allowed myself to slip like that. That's out of character, but situation like that where, it's an emotional game.
It's Bush League, he's, total coward move on his part. Where did it cross the line? Maybe when he took my helmet off and used it as a weapon.
The league also handed down suspension for other players involved in the fight. Cleveland's Larry Ogunjobi has been suspended for 1 game, while Pittsburgh's Marquise Pouncey has been suspended for 3 games.
Let's get a check on the weather now. Boy, a beautiful sunset capped off a nice day today, Gary.
Oh, a beautiful day. In fact, for the first time in 111 hours, our temperatures were back above freezing. We reached the 32-degree mark at 10 a.m. this morning. We made it to a balmy high of 40 degrees this afternoon. But the last time our temperature was at freezing or above was 7 p.m. last Sunday evening. That is a long time to go below normal. So 3 things you need to know in the forecast. Tomorrow will be a cloudy day, but it'll be dry. Temperatures will be in the upper 30s. Sunday, we have some light snow in the forecast, maybe mix a little rain in the afternoon, with temperatures at or above freezing for most of the time. The precipitation's falling. At this point, I think the accumulations will be minor, maybe up to an inch for areas north of Madison, where temperatures might be a couple degrees cooler. And then look for relatively mild conditions, at least by what we've seen so far this fall. High temperatures will be in the 40s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. If we take a look at future track for Sunday morning, you can see the light snow already starting to spread into southern Wisconsin, but notice how there's a mixture of rain and snow out to the west. And temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s, lower 30s, but by the time we get to 10 a.m., notice Madison's about at freezing, and then temperatures get above freezing as much of the precipitation comes through. So again, that should limit the snowfall accumulation, at least over much of the area. Right now, things are very quiet on Doppler tracks, so even though we're expecting cloudy skies for tomorrow, not looking for any precipitation. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Skies are partly cloudy, and temperatures have actually dropped off a bit over the last couple of hours. We did make it up to 40 degrees today. Only 4 degrees below the average high of 44, 23 still below the average low of 29. But we've dropped back to 32 now with skies becoming increasingly cloudy. The air is calm, so there's no wind chill to speak of. Over the last 48 hours, you can see how our temperatures have been mainly in the 20s with wind chills at times dipping into the teens. The winds have lightened up, so wind chill not as much of a factor. But look how the temperatures took that jump upward to 40 degrees early this afternoon and then have dropped back to around freezing. In fact, right now, temperatures are in the upper 20s and low 30s here. Farther to the south, they're in the mid-30s and then get into the 40s farther out to the south and west. There's actually been a weak cold front that has shifted the winds to a more northeasterly direction. But compared to 24 hours ago, our temperatures have trended in the right direction, up 6 degrees over the last 24 hours. Notice farther to the north, temperatures actually cooling off a little bit. So tomorrow, I think we'll see temperatures probably a couple degrees colder than today. Weather track still shows a northwesterly wind flow aloft, but notice that bubble in the jet stream. I've been showing it the last couple of days, moving eastward very slowly, but that means that our winds are more out of a westerly direction, milder Pacific air heading in our direction. And even though this cold front has come through, the basic push of the coldest air is going to be off to the east. That's where temperatures are in the teens. So notice to the west, those temperatures go right back up into the 50s as far north as South Dakota. We're not going to get that warm, but like I say, 40 is not out of the question by Monday. So for tonight, partly cloudy skies, seasonably cold, low temperature dropping to 24. And then for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, but it should be dry during the day, a quiet day with a high of 38. Future track, the clouds start to move in tonight, low temperatures in the mid-20s, high temperatures tomorrow top out in the upper 30s with mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow night, the clouds thicken up by morning, start to see some light snow out near the La Crosse area, and then some light snow, maybe mixed with rain in the afternoon, high temperatures in the middle 30s. 7 to 10 day forecast, cloudy skies Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but I did bring temperatures back up into the low 40s for Tuesday and low 40s for Wednesday. Thursday, I've actually had to cool it down a bit as a cold front looks like it'll come through a little earlier with some rain and snow early in the day. And then temperatures rebound back into the lower 40s for next weekend and into Monday of the following week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, it's a Friday, and the Beltline usually pretty busy. This time, it's busiest in the westbound direction. This is the view at John Nolan Drive and the Beltline. An accident reported just earlier at John Nolan Drive with mainly in the westbound direction. So we're seeing delays from Stoughton Road to John Nolan Drive, and then in the eastbound direction, the delays start around John Nolan Drive and go back to west of Verona Road. So when you look at traffic times, right now, 37 minutes on the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate, almost a half hour back in the westbound direction, which is a lot more than normal. But heading out of Madison, 26 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and out to Sun Prairie on US 151, 17 minutes. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
Thank you, Gary.
Ahead on News 3 Now at 5, the road to Camp Randall continues as 6 area teams battle it out on the field for a trip to state. We'll preview tonight's matchups ahead in sports.
The road to Camp Randall continues as Level 4 of the WIAA football playoffs kick off tonight across Wisconsin.
That's a big night. Winners tonight will head to state next weekend here in Madison. Melissa Kim live from Oconomowoc ahead of Madison Memorial's matchup with the defending state champions as the Spartans try to keep the season perfect, Melissa.
Exactly, guys. It's a big night for a lot of schools in our area, but especially this Division I matchup, because the last time a City of Madison school was actually making an appearance at state, you got to go back to 1984. So it's been 35 years. That was the year that the Spartans actually made an appearance, but ended up losing to Manitowoc. Now, to find a time when a Madison City school won the state title, you have to go all the way back to 1977. That's when Madison West beat Stevens Point for the state title. Now, this year's squad, is, like you said, has a tough task ahead of them, going against the defending state champs. They haven't lost a lot of guys to graduation or anything, but the Spartans led this year by quarterback Jason Sonetti. He's been good as a dual threat, both using his legs and his arm to score some big points. Now, to some other games we're featuring tonight in Division II. Wanakee trying to make it back to Camp Randall. They haven't made it since 2017 when they won the state title. They're facing Waukesha West tonight. They only have one loss on the season. That came to DeForest. They're representing our area in Division III. They're facing New Berlin Eisenhower, trying to cap off a perfect season. In Division IV, River Valley trying to make their first appearance since 2016. They've got Catholic Memorial tonight. In Division V, Prairie du Chien against Lake Country Lutheran. And then skipping ahead to Division VII, last but not least, Blackhawk trying to cap off another undefeated season with a state title. They are the defending state champs. They're trying to make their third straight appearance against at state. They're playing Lord's Academy tonight, so we'll have plenty of highlights of all of these games coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 10. Join myself and Kevin Lewis on Prep Mania. Guys, back to you.
Unbelievable. Everybody should be pulling for Madison Memorial tonight.
Yes, I agree.
Jason Sonetti, I did a story on him when he was in 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
And here he is playing for a trip to Camp
Good
Randall.
luck.
Melissa, stay warm out there. It should be a great night though,
Very
for
exciting.
football. And we will have another check of that forecast in just a moment. Stay with us.
Nice weekend is on the way, mild.
Well, milder than it has been. I mean, we're still going to be below normal. Take a look at that high temperature of 40. We haven't been that warm in about a week, and our temperatures are still not to normal yet. We're at 32 now. We had a weak cold front come through. Look for a high of 38 tomorrow, 36 on Sunday with some snow, maybe mixed a little rain in the afternoon. Quiet weather Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but highs back in the lower 40s for Tuesday and Wednesday. By that time, that's the average high temperature. First time back to normal in over 3 weeks.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 5. We're back in 30 minutes. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.